It's the first Friday night, and their stars are ready to shine. Some already have household football names like Bosa, Bruce, and Irvin. But this group is ready to make its own thing. The future of college football. They are Who's Next.
So ESPN High School Kickoff, part of the ESPNU Summer of Next, presented by Geico. Tonight, the high school season opens up here in Fort Lauderdale at the home of the defending Class 7A state champs, the Raiders of St. Thomas Aquinas. They'll meet the three-time defending Class 4A champs from Miami's Booker T. Washington. The Tornadoes have won 41 straight going back to 2012. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to South Florida alongside my partner, former Pitt quarterback John Congemi. I'm Clay Matvick, and before you started your college and pro careers, you played here at St. Thomas Aquinas. You know as well as anybody how good the football is here. And you know how big this game is for both of these teams.
Well, first of all, it's always great to come back to South Florida and St. Thomas Aquinas. But you're right, there's a couple constants about South Florida and especially Dade and Broward County. You're always going to get great athletes and you're always going to get competitive matchups. And that's what we have here tonight. St. Thomas Aquinas, legendary. 8 state titles, 2 national championships. And then Booker T. Washington, what have they done for us lately? 3 state championships in a row. And they have a 41-game win streak coming into Brian Piccolo Stadium. So, Clay, I'm excited just to see the athletes on the field because many of them will be playing tonight, will be playing next year on Saturdays.
Good segue. Let's talk about one of the players we'll be talking about a lot tonight. The major college programs all over both of these teams, and they've already plucked the brother of Joey Bosa, the All-American at Ohio State.
Well, first, let's talk about Joey Bosa. It wasn't long ago he was here at St. Thomas disrupting offenses and building a name for himself. His transition to Ohio State did not take long. He got bigger and stronger and has dominated offensive lines and opposing quarterbacks throughout the Big Ten. But Joey Bosa could be the next player selected in next year's draft, but his little brother, Nick, is outstanding. They may line him up at 3 different positions on the defensive side. They may line him up at nose guard, at tackle, at defensive end, and he's such a great athlete. They may line him up at tight end on the offensive side, not only for goal line or short yardage. Heck, they may start the game with him just to try to dominate the line of scrimmage.
It's funny to hear you say little brother because as we look at the Geico Who's Next, you can see 6'4", 265, the number 3 player overall in the country, according to ESPN and the Recruiting Nation. He is the number 1 defensive end. He has verbaled to Ohio State to follow in his brother's footsteps. And there are other weapons for St. Thomas Aquinas, both with NFL family ties.
Sam Bruce, unbelievable. Isaac Bruce, his uncle. He's 77th in the ESPN 300, and he loves the game. This is a UM commit that may be a playmaker to watch for tonight. And on the other side, Michael Irvin, the original playmaker. You've got his son, Michael Irvin II. He's huge at 6'3", deceptive speed, and when the lights come on, that's when he's at his best, like his father.
He talked about that 41-game winning streak going back to September of 2012. They're the 3 straight state championships. And they also have weapons all over the field. 2 excellent receivers we're going to be keeping our eyes on.
Clay, it's a 1-2 punch for Booker T on the outside. Darius Scott, he's a verbal to FIU down the road in Dade County. He provides leadership. He provides terrific range in catching the football. And then Raymond Flanders is on the other side, probably the best route runner on the team. So if St. Thomas wants to press on the outside, those are the playmakers. They're going to try to create the big play for Booker T. Washington.
Despite some rain earlier, and of course Tropical Storm Erica bearing down on South Florida here in the next 24 to 48 hours, a terrific crowd has showed up here to Brian Piccolo Stadium, home of the Raiders, for their season opener. 10 games this weekend across the country in this 10th year of the Geico High School Football Kickoff on ESPN. Booker T. Washington won the toss. They elected to defer. Jose Borgales has it on the tee for Booker T. And Sam Bruce, the aforementioned playmaker for Aquinas, is back deep. The verbal to Miami. Let's see if he'll get a chance to do something electric right away here to start the year. Booker T. Washington in white, St. Thomas Aquinas in the navy and yellow. And the high school football season is underway. And this is going to sail into the end zone, a touchback. And we'll see what they do with Nick Bosa here early on.
Well, it looks like he's joining that huddle about at the 25-yard line. So we know Jake Allen's going to bring them out at quarterback, but the question mark was whether Nick Bosa was going to play tight end, and it looks like he's in that huddle ready to go.
Bosa, number 97. He is going to start tonight defensively, but coach is telling us he is a talent that they can't afford to keep on the sideline. Jake Allen, the 6'3", 195-pound junior quarterback in his first year at St. Thomas Aquinas, a transfer from another South Florida power, Cardinal Gibbons High School. And the first play is a run up the middle. It's Devontae Henry Cole, the 36th best running back prospect in the senior class, according to ESPN Recruiting Nation. He has verbal to Utah. He did that just last month, and he is going to be fun to watch here, too, tonight.
And we'll see some tempo for St. Thomas early in this game, trying to run behind Nick Bosa, who's off the right side at tight end.
The running play. And Henry Cole, the team captain, will pick up 7. Across the 30-yard line, and they'll move the chains.
Great vision. He puts one foot in the ground and he cuts right to left. That's just a nice job of finding the hole to the backside.
So multiple up-tempo attack with tons of talent, a lot of weapons all over the field. They keep it on the ground, though, here on the first 3 plays. Henry Cole brought down by Detron Holloway. They're obviously establishing the physical play up front here in this opening series.
And speaking to the offensive coordinator, Ryan Schneider at St. Thomas, this is exactly what they wanted to do. Dominate the line of scrimmage and get Booker T going backwards early in this football game.
After that pickup of 10 yards, we get a timeout called here by Booker T. Washington. Etron Stork, the defensive coordinator for Booker T. And so we got a timeout here. Less than a minute into this football game here in Fort Lauderdale. No score.
Geico ESPN High School Kickoff is brought to you by...
Opening series here for St. Thomas Aquinas. Some heavy hearts still in that crowd tonight. Players wearing a sticker to honor 17-year-old St. Thomas Aquinas student John Baker, who was killed in a boating accident August 12th. There were 5 others on the boat that night who suffered injuries. That was the only fatality, and JD was a reserve linebacker on the football team, so they're keeping in their thoughts here tonight.
Absolutely, and that's what St. Thomas does. They try to rally with the student body and families that have been here for years, and it's a tragedy what happened in that boating accident, but you just pray for the people that were involved and their families.
George Smith, the longtime head coach here at this program, and the current athletic director.
He was my coach. He was there on the sidelines for a number of years and a number of state titles, and he's just a mentor for every young man that's been in this program.
And he has done a great job helping this school get past that tragedy. He may never get past it. Deep throw down the field from Jake Allen, intended for Sam Bruce. That's the first time we have seen them go to the air here, John, and they failed to click on that deep attempt.
Well, you take a shot after you have a kind of an explosive play on the ground. You put your quarterback, Jake Allen, in a situation to throw it downfield, and that's just a called shot from the sidelines trying to get it to your playmaker and Sam Bruce on the outside. It looks like Sam Bruce is now going to go into the Wildcat formation at quarterback.
The Miami Hurricanes recruit, the nephew of former Pro Bowler Isaac Bruce, is going to take the direct snap. Second down and 10 for St. Thomas Aquinas. High snap from Louis Berkowitz. It is Bruce straight ahead, close to midfield. He is a freak athlete. The coaching staff, and especially Roger Harriet, the first-year head coach, telling us this guy should have been a gymnast. He's such a great athlete.
Well, the way he's built, he can run the football in between the tackles, and he can run routes and use his body and his frame because he's so strong when he has the football in his hands in the open field.
And now Jake Allen back on the field. And he goes back to Henry Cole. Cole having a great first half, and he pounds it into Booker T. Washington territory. Dedrick Mackey, the only returning starter on the Tornadoes defense, finally brings him down, but it's a gain of 13.
Well, Clay, we've talked about the athletes. Let's talk about that offensive line doing a great job. A hat on a hat, great open field spin move, and that might be because he was a former soccer player as a younger kid. Has great feet and vision.
Here's Henry Cole again, looking for room on the outside, and he is spun down around the line of scrimmage by Marquise Desus, the cornerback. This is a 4-4 base defense for the Tornadoes, and the strength of the defense really lies in that secondary. And they know they're going to be tested tonight by Bruce and Michael Irvin.
They're going to have to make a number of open field tackles, and Desus made a terrific tackle there on first down.
James Charles is checked in. He's the running back behind Jake Allen, who looks to the sideline. Allen already committed to the Florida Gators. Junior has a very bright future. Sets to throw. Looking at that far sideline, that might have been batted at the line of scrimmage by Booker T. Washington. Yeah, I think Robert Hicks, the defensive end, got a hand on it.
Well, the communication at the line of scrimmage was not good for St. Thomas Aquinas. Cody Bowes playing that right tackle actually whiffs. He looks outside, but he let the defender, Robert Hicks, to the inside have a free rip at Jake Allen. You don't want to do that. You do not want to leave your quarterback exposed that way.
Hicks, one of the 3 sophomores that Booker T. Washington is starting up front. This is a very young team for the Tornadoes. Allen to throw again to the outside. The receiver had to come back for it. Trayvon Grimes, the junior wideout, couldn't make the catch. Another highly recruited junior for Aquinas, ranked the number 6 wide receiver in the class of 2017.
Again, more pressure in the pocket. It didn't allow Jake Allen to set his feet and have a good sight line to the outside to Grimes, who's considering Ohio State, Auburn, and Cincinnati, Clemson, and Florida, among others. This is a guy that's going to be in the national spotlight, not only this year, but next.
They're going for it here on 4th down and 9. James Charles behind Allen, who wants to throw deep again. Looking downfield for Grimes, and he overshot his target. Well, there's no question that Allen has the strength in his arm. So far, just lacking a little accuracy.
Well, you know, you never want to throw your receiver off the playing field, and that's what happened twice with that deep ball from Jake Allen. You want to give him room as a receiver, but you don't want to throw him off the playing field. You have to give that guy a chance. That receiver on the outside, Grimes, needs to stack a little bit closer to the numbers and give the quarterback room to lead him outside.
So Booker T. Washington takes over on downs. And Eric Walker, the quarterback, hands off. And no running room as Nick Bosa makes an immediate statement on the first defensive play for St. Thomas Aquinas.
That didn't take long, Clay, did it? He was in the backfield before the quarterback had the ball. Middle of your screen, he's going to just push back the center. Daniel Jean right into the lap of the running back. Just a terrific play with strength at the point of attack.
Trawan Johnson dropped for a loss of 2. Now Walker to throw. And it's complete out close to the 46-yard line. They are looking for someone to emerge at quarterback. Eric Walker is the senior. We're also going to see the freshman Daniel Richardson here tonight. Walker with a strike there on his first pass attempt.
And that looked good, setting up in the pocket, feet underneath him, and he delivered on time.
After the catch by Dames. 3rd down and short.
Remember, the playmakers are on the outside. They want to be able to distribute the football, spread you out, and throw it quickly.
The first down out to midfield. There's Darius Scott, their number 1 receiving threat, as you mentioned, John, committed to FIU to join former Booker T head coach Tim Harris Jr., who's now the running backs coach over there.
Well, they feel Scott can be a game breaker. Anytime he touches the football, can be a big play, an explosive play, and that's what Booker T. Washington relies on, those explosive plays.
There's Johnson again, the veteran of that Tornadoes backfield. He's brought down by Drew White. Eric Walker decided not to name a clear number 1. The battle between Walker and Richardson has raged throughout camp, and Earl Tillman likes it that way. He says it brings out the best in both of his men now. And here's Walker looking to the outside, and he underthrew that pass. It was nearly picked off, incomplete, intended for Scott.
Well, the biggest difference between Eric Walker and Daniel Richardson, the freshman, is just that. Eric Walker's the senior. He has the experience, played a little bit in the Kickoff Classic last week, and he's under pressure. But anytime you're in the pocket, you've got a 6'4", 265 man coming at you in Nick Bosa. That's tough to hang in there and throw the ball with accuracy.
So Bosa and this Aquinas defense force a 3rd down and 9. Walker flushed out of the pocket. Trying to run, sidesteps one tackle, and then is buried at the 45-yard line by the middle linebacker, number 45, Pat Moody, and that's going to bring up 4th down and about 5.
Good pursuit by Aquinas that time. 2 players on the outside trying to corral Eric Walker. If Walker could have kept his eyes down the field when he decided to tuck that football under his right arm, he may have found a receiver wide open in Richard Dames, but he never did locate it.
3-4 defense. Sometimes we're going to see a 4-3 tonight. They're trying to disguise Bosa as much as they possibly can, John. So they're going to go for it here on 4th down and 5. Opening series for Booker T. Washington. Walker has a man at Scott. Makes the catch. Close to a 1st down. He had to climb the ladder for it and made a nice play. Scott with a gain of 6, and they'll move the chains.
And Clay, that's a strong throw from the far left hash all the way outside the numbers. Give credit to Eric Walker and Darius Scott for catching the football. As you said, he climbed the ladder to make the 4th down conversion.
Mandatory water break here in the South Florida heat. Darius Scott and Booker T. Washington trying to score here on their opening drive. They're deep in Aquinas territory when we come back.
Number 4. All 5 of the top 5 teams in the country you'll see here this weekend during the summer of next, presented by Geico. One of 10 games this weekend featuring 33 seniors in the ESPN 300. 9th play of the drive, and it's intercepted. Eric Walker picked off by Frank Coppett, the strong safety for St. Thomas Aquinas, a future SEC defensive back who has committed to Vandy.
And it looked like Eric Walker for Booker T. Washington had a receiver to the outside, but he overshot him, almost a pump fake, and then he lets him go. But the center fielder comes out of nowhere in Frank Coppett to get the football at its highest point, secures it for Aquinas, and it's going the other way.
Coppett ranked as the number 82 cornerback for 2016. His brother Fred played here.
I got to coach him, Clay. He was terrific, and one of those guys that would leave you in the dust, and it looks like Frank has that same athleticism.
So the Raiders take over back at their own 23-yard line after the turnover. And it's Devontae Henry Cole who's been the workhorse here in the early going. He'll pick up 2. He's got game-breaking speed, John. We just haven't seen it quite yet. He ran a 10-7 in the 100-yard last year.
I think he's more fast than have explosive speed, distance speed. I think he can make you miss between the tackles, but I'm not so sure he's going to take it the distance.
Said 100-yard, I meant 100-meter. This was Michael Irvin II, the son of the Hall of Famer, who was in attendance here tonight, brought down by Richard Dames. And we're going to get a chance to talk to Michael Irvin later. There's his son who's 6'3", 220 pounds. It's a little bigger than Michael's playing with.
Yes, he's a big boy. And you know what? And there's Michael with Warren Sapp on the sidelines. And Michael had good size when he was this age. But I think Deuce has him by a little bit.
I think so, too. There's Henry Cole again across the 35-yard line. Now, Michael Irvin is a transfer from Prestonwood in Plano, Texas. He played in the Texas State Finals the last couple of years. But like his dad, transferred to St. Thomas Aquinas, and like his dad, he has committed to Miami.
You know, it's a big shadow. It's big footsteps. But you know what? With the confidence that he displays, I think he's going to be able to handle it.
Henry Cole again. Jaquan Beaver, just a sophomore at defensive end for Booker T. Already gaining attention from major programs around the country.
That's a terrific play by Beaver, tracking down Henry Cole from behind. Good discipline and good speed out of that defensive end.
That's incomplete. Jake Allen threw it right on target, but Grimes couldn't haul it in.
Clay, that's one you have to have, and it doesn't matter what level of football you're playing. You get him in stride on that quick slant. You have to run through that catch, be able to concentrate and know you may take a shot going over the middle. But that's a big frame to miss that pass.
You mentioned the schools he's considering. Sounds like he's leaning toward Ohio State. Now get a penalty flag, and Allen may have got Booker T to jump.
Dead ball, encroachment, defense. 5-yard penalty, down remains third.
Jaquan Beaver was in the neutral zone. First penalty against the Tornadoes. So now 3rd and 10 becomes a 3rd and 5.
And that's something the Tornadoes do not want to do. You have to stay disciplined and make St. Thomas earn it on 3rd and long.
Allen fires to the outside. He keeps going to Grimes, and this time Grimes comes up with a catch. A first down into Booker T territory, and a penalty flag. As Marlon Pilo trying to tackle him with the face mask.
Well, that 5-yard penalty turned into a quick hitch on the outside and an easy pitch and catch for Aquinas.
Face mask, defense, 15-yard penalty. First down.
3rd and 10 would have been a lot harder to convert on the outside than 3rd and 5, and that's just a good individual effort, switching the football to the outside. There's the face mask at the end of the play, but that's good strength by Grimes on the outside. The 6'4", 190-pound junior was able to fight through the arm tackle and make a big play. Almost looked like Clay had a hand inside the helmet.
Yeah. So now Allen 2 for 7 passing. 23 yards after that 16-yard completion. Devontae Henry Cole again on the carry, and he'll get to the 21-yard line.
This is the area on the field where you'd like to utilize Michael Irvin II. You'd like to use his size at 6'3", either down the seam or in the corner of the end zone.
2nd down and 4 from the 21. And this time Henry Cole is hitting the backfield, and he's spun down at the 20-yard line. There is Beaver again, the sophomore, making a good impression here on this defensive series. Also Jaleel Rankin in on the stop. Henry Cole already at 10 carries tonight, again going to Utah. Kyle Whittingham getting a very strong leader in this young guy. There's Henry Cole again, finds some room up the middle. Lowers his head and gets to the 10-yard line.
Well, that was a better job at the point of attack by St. Thomas. On the previous down, it looked like Booker T. Washington, that front 7, used their speed to get into the backfield and corral Henry Cole. But on that time, the offensive line for Aquinas wins the battle at the point of attack, and a huge hole for Devontae to run through.
Henry Cole again behind Allen. He'll get it one more time. The 10th play of the drive brought down after a short pickup. Richard Dames, one of the Dames twins, strong safety, makes the tackle. 2nd down and goal from the 7 coming up here for St. Thomas Academy. Last year St. Thomas Aquinas, pardon me, they outscored their opponents 223-20 in the 5 state tournament games. A terrific offense. And we're going to get the 2nd timeout for Booker T. Washington.
Thomas is on the march. Let's flash back to the early 80s. My partner John Congemi playing for the Raiders. Look at that arm. Strike to the end zone.
Is that color, or is that black and white? That one was to Ben Felicio, whose son is the backup quarterback here at Aquinas. Here's Gene Lawson in the back of the end zone. Man, I was eating pretty good that night.
Yeah,
all right.
Memory like a steel trap, too.
Yeah, had Ray Palhagi is a receiver. John Battaglia, who, if I didn't mention his name, I might not be able to get out of the booth. And Kurt Hudson, another receiver on that team.
Let's see Bo Felicio and son a little later. He is the backup to Jake Allen, who has engineered this drive inside the 10-yard line. Second down, goal to go from the 8. Bouncing to the outside. There's Michael Irvin Jr. on a misdirection play. Now Aquinas is inside the 5 here.
Nice creative call that time by Ryan Schneider. You get full motion going to the field, and you have that big body, and Michael Irvin II coming in on that shovel pass, and he gets it inside the 5, and the Raiders are knocking at the door.
And Nick Bosa lining up. Number 97 on your right side. Michael Irvin right off his flank. It's Devontae Henry Cole straight ahead for the touchdown. 3-yard touchdown run for Henry Cole, who's headed to Utah. And St. Thomas Aquinas is on the board first here tonight.
But it's no secret what St. Thomas wants to do. It's going to be a heavy dose of 29 Henry Cole, and that time behind that right side of the offensive line that included Nick Bosa and Michael Irvin II. Terrific job of staying patient. Roger Harriet celebrating with his senior tailback, the Utah commit. He gets in for 6.
They lost 45 seniors from that state championship team a year ago, including 18 who went on to play college football, but they just reload here at St. Thomas. And Henry Cole, the senior.
They may have to take a timeout here or take a 5-yard penalty. I don't think they're going to get this on.
And James McCourt on for the extra point. The hold of Alexander Berry. And you're right.
Red ball. Delay a game. Offense. Beat the drive.
You see those kind of things happen in the first game of the year.
Absolutely.
Cole, 13 carries for 62 yards here tonight. He had 8 carries, 29 yards on the touchdown drive. Now here's James McCourt, the native of Ireland. Guys call him Seamus. That's his nickname. And even after the penalty, bangs it through to make it 7-0. A 12-play, 77-yard drive at 4 minutes and 10 seconds.
It was a good job by St. Thomas Aquinas establishing the line of scrimmage, and then you get those big bodies, a hat on a hat inside the 5-yard line. And Devontae Henry Cole only needs a crease. He's only 5'8", 185, but he runs tough and he lowers that shoulder. Looks like Devontae's happy in the end zone, and always your quarterback's got to celebrate afterwards. And the first-year head coach, Roger Harriet, celebrating with the Utah commit.
Harriet, 38 years old, taking over at his alma mater, where he was a part of the 92 state title team. Says this is his dream job. Replacing Rocco Casulo, won a couple of state titles in 4 years. Before Casulo, it was George Smith who ran the program for many years and won 6 state titles. He was your coach, of course, still the athletic director here tonight.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for Roger. It's an extraordinary feeling coming back to your school that has so much tradition and so much pride in the people that have played here. And you can tell by the coaching staff, George Smith, Jay Conley, that you can go on and on. John Hackett, who is still in the program here. Ed Waters coaching for 30-plus years on the baseball side. And terrific pride in this program.
Short kick from McCourt, fielded at the 30-yard line. And that is where Booker T. Washington will go back to work. Down 7-0. There's George Smith.
Yeah, he's a lot nicer than I remember him. When I saw him the last couple of times, 34 seasons, 6 state titles, and a lot of guys like myself, there's a long line of student athletes that went through this program that went on to college, some played professionally, that owe him a lot of gratitude because he was a father figure, not to one of us, but all of us.
And great job setting up this event here tonight. They bring in extra bleachers. And this defense is standing tall here early. There is Pat Moody again, plowing into Eric Walker to bring the quarterback down. The junior making a name for himself here on opening night.
That's a big hit. That's how you play football.
You can see why this defense was able to shut out Dillard last week in a preseason game. The defense was definitely the strength of that game last week for the Raiders. And Moody, the middle linebacker, a big part of it. Now they've got Walker in trouble again, and he's dropped by Drew White, the weak side linebacker this time.
There's a lot of speed on this St. Thomas Aquinas defense, and when you have a guy that you're trying to run away from or double team like Nick Bosa, other guys are going to have to step up and make plays. We saw Patrick Moody on the previous play. Now Andrew White gets in for the sack. It's good for those guys that 97 is always going to draw the double team because he can handle that, but it opens up windows and lanes for other guys to make plays.
The defensive coordinator says we're going to blitz at will. We're going to make life miserable for Walker and Richardson. Walker so far having a tough time. Under 30 seconds to go in the corner, and it's picked off. Second time that Walker has been intercepted here in the corner. It's Asante Samuel Jr., the son of the former Pro Bowl defensive back.
Good concept on the screenplay because Aquinas has been bringing the house, but no one's home to catch the pass. Very disjointed because the lineman's in front of the receiver, Darius Scott. And that opens up the window for Asante Samuel to step in like his dad, the two-time Super Bowl champ, to get that interception. So the right place at the right time for Asante Samuel to get that interception.
Asante Sr. played 11 NFL seasons.
I don't waste any time right here. I look at Michael Irvin down the seam or try to attack the end zone.
After the turnover, first down and 10 from the 20. Allen going to the end zone, as you mentioned. And he just missed James Jenkins, the senior wideout.
What I'm surprised so far offensively, Sam Bruce has really not touched the football. That guy is dynamic. I mean, he loves the game. He's such an explosive player. They have to find a way to get him the football in space, and I don't think anybody in a white jersey is going to come close. That's how good Sam Bruce is.
And there's Sam Bruce. Those are the numbers from last year, 20 catches, over 400 yards. They expect him to carry more of the load this year after the loss of so much talent. Henry Cole in the backfield. He'll be in blocking duties on this one. Throw to the end zone, and there is Sam Bruce finally. In a big play of 20 yards and a touchdown. All Aquinas here as the quarter is coming to an exciting end here for the Raiders.
Good play call on the outside by offensive coordinator Ryan Schneider. Anytime you press an athlete like Sam Bruce, you may whiff. And if you whiff, it's 6 points. Jake Allen does a nice job behind good protection, good timing in the pass offense. Throws a strike down the field. That was easy pitch and catch for St. Thomas.
2 plays, 20 yards. And a touchdown in just 12 seconds after the interception. Turnovers really hurting Booker T.
It's all about matchups in football. And that time the free safety's playing center field, but he's over the right tackle. There's no way he can cover that much ground if Sam Bruce wins at the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly what he did on the outside. He wins within the first 3 yards, and if you're even, you're leaving as a wide receiver. Terrific job by Jake Allen getting the football outside to the playmaker, Sam Bruce, the UM commit.
He is not built like a typical receiver, 5'9", 186. Very thick. He's built like a running back. Really strong, good speed and vision. And that durability and the ability to break tackles, I think, comes from his build.
Well, you know what? He's an athlete that can easily play in the slot. He can play outside. He's dynamic with the football in his hands. And I was surprised St. Thomas didn't try to just get him a screen on the outside, a hitch player, hand the ball to him, because that's what that guy does. He scores touchdowns, and he makes you look bad if you whiff at the line of scrimmage. But a lot of these kids on the outside, Grimes, Irvin, they all do a great job with their body control at the line of scrimmage.
Ford puts it in the end zone. A touchback as Corey Hammett fields it in the end zone. ESPN's coverage of the Arena League continues tomorrow with the 2015 Arena Bowl. The Sharks and the Sabre turnovers for St. Thomas Aquinas. And Booker T. Washington won a preseason scrimmage last week despite 5 turnovers. And they've already got 2 here tonight as Earl Tillman Jr., the head coach, is probably wondering what he's going to have to do here to stop the bleeding. And this might be the answer. Daniel Richardson, as they have made a change at quarterback. He looked ready for prime time in that scrimmage last week. And that comeback win. We'll talk more about Daniel Richardson. That's the end of the first quarter. Aquinas, great defense.
Aquinas with a 14-0 lead over Booker T. Washington here in Fort Lauderdale after 1 quarter. The Raiders have a new head coach in Roger Harriet, but the expectation of success never changes here, regardless who's leading the charge.
You strap it up and get after it. Leave no corner unturned. You do your job for 48 minutes long. Remember the 5 a.m. workouts. You got to get up. You put in the time. Your reward is tonight. Don't let Miami-Dade team come in here in your own house in the tunnel tonight and take this game away from you. You worked too hard. We gonna play 48 minutes strong. We gonna give it to them. We gonna make them regret stepping on that field. That same target as us. We gonna give it to them. They do all this. We do all that. We do.
Managing emotion so important on opening night, not just for the players but the coaches too. And I'd say that even though that was a very emotional pregame, the emotions have been in check for St. Thomas Aquinas. They have played exceptionally well.
They have. They've stayed away from mistakes. They've done a nice job protecting the football, and they've taken advantage of some of the turnovers with field position and cashed in for 2 scores.
Daniel Richardson still in at quarterback for Booker T. Washington after Eric Walker, the senior, threw 2 interceptions. So the freshman getting a chance here. Brownlee on that carry. 3rd down coming up here for the Tornadoes. Richardson led a comeback win over Citron North Marion in the preseason game last week. Led the Tornadoes to 10 points in the final 5 minutes.
And Clay, he looks elusive. He looks like he's not going to waste too much time in the pocket. If he doesn't like it, he's going to tuck the football down and run.
Yeah, that's what he does here on 3rd down and 5, looking for that 1st down marker along the sideline. And that's a gain of 7. So Daniel Richardson, 6 foot, 175 pounds. Showing how elusive he can be.
I think that's the key for Booker T. They need to find a way to create some explosive plays and protect the football. If you're St. Thomas, you may want to consider putting a spy on Daniel Richardson, one of those linebackers or defensive backs, because I believe he'll tuck it and run more times than he'll stand in the pocket and deliver the throw down the field.
3rd 1st down for Booker T. Washington, which has this multiple spread offense. They go back to the ground game here in Shaquan Brownlee, a 5'10", 170-pound senior who's undeclared.
One of the many seniors on this football team that play a role in the running back position. Craig Nelson's the starter. Johnson comes in, he's a senior, but Brownlee does a nice job of running through a big hole up the middle of that Aquinas defense.
Keep in mind this Booker T team has that 41-game winning streak on the line here tonight. And they're down 14-0. 2nd down and 3. It's Brownlee again, picking his way across the 45 to about the 48-yard line. There's Nick Benito, who makes the tackle, number 83, a transfer from the university school. Another year where a lot of transfers coming to St. Thomas Aquinas. Speaks well of this program.
It really does. A lot of transfers throughout South Florida. And I know Roger Harriet talks about that, about a lot of people like to be where good kids are. And good kids have been at St. Thomas Aquinas in a good atmosphere. That's what draws them here.
On 1st down, that zone read play, he gives it to Brownlee. Short pickup. And it's Drew White in on the tackle.
You know, I've been impressed the way Booker T's come back. After being 14 down, you put in a freshman quarterback and you rely on that offensive line to start creating some movement on the line of scrimmage. We haven't talked about Nick Boza in the last 5 minutes. That's a credit to Booker T. Washington and what they've been able to accomplish over the last 5 to 10 plays.
As Richardson complete to Darius Scott. They'd like to get Scott lathered up because if he gets going, he could be a game changer for the Tornadoes. Williams makes the stop, but Scott, as you mentioned, committed to FIU. Ranked among the top 150 wide receivers in the country by Recruiting Nation. First down here as Booker T. Washington under the freshman quarterback moving the football.
I think they may have found their quarterback.
It's Brownlee again. And the opening, the middle closed quickly. There is Boza and Moody combining on the stop. I'm sure that's going to happen a lot this year for St. Thomas Aquinas. We've already seen Nick Boza make an impact in this game defensively.
Clay, it's important for Booker T. Washington to get points out of this drive. You've got 9:23 and counting to halftime. You've got the momentum a little bit riding on your side. Maybe a little play action and take a shot down the field to one of your playmakers if it's there.
Craig Nelson in the backfield, 3 wide to the right. They go to Nelson. And it's going to bring up third down. Benito again on the stop.
Well, this is where Booker T is going to spread you out, and they're going to give an option to Daniel Richardson, the quarterback, the freshman. If you don't like what you see down the field, use your legs and your athleticism to move the chains.
9th play of the drive, 3rd down and 9. Richardson wants to take it himself. There he goes, first down. He has got some electric legs and the savvy that belies the fact that he's a freshman. It's a first down, Tornadoes.
Well, that may have looked like a called pass play, but that was almost a quarterback draw. Daniel looked about 2 seconds down the field, and without hesitation, he's going to use what he knows how to do best, and that's his legs and his athleticism. Good vision by the freshman quarterback.
And run of 14 yards keeps the drive alive. There's Brownlee again. And Moody with another tackle, 2nd down. A state title this year for the Tornadoes would be their 4th straight, and that would tie the Florida record. Amazingly, they have beaten Jacksonville Bulls in the state final each of the last 3 years. They're down 14-0 here, 2nd quarter. This is Richardson going to the end zone, has a man in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. Gustavius Dames. And lands incomplete. That should have been 6.
And that's one you'd love to have back if you're Gustavius. That's a perfect throw by a young quarterback. He put enough air under the football, and those are the ones you dream about at night. How did I miss that? And credit Daniel Richardson. He took a shot from Nick Boza at the end of that play, standing tough in the pocket. Those are plays on Saturday mornings when you go back and watch that film. Those could be difference makers in the outcome of the game.
Yeah, because the next time Richardson has that situation, he might get rid of it a little sooner. Oh, and another drop ball. This time Darius Scott. So the guys that Booker T. Washington is hoping to count on this year at wide receiver, some disappointing plays and back-to-back throws by Richardson.
Well, it got contagious in a hurry. That's a perfect throw by Daniel Richardson to the outside. A good shot by Nick Boza, but let's credit the courage of standing in the pocket and doing the things quarterbacks are asked to do at any level. Stand down the barrel and throw it down the field.
Roger Harriet, the head coach at St. Thomas, saying that Nick could compete for a job at the college level right now. He is ready. So now on 4th and 7, Booker T going for it. The throw complete to the 10-yard line. Raymond Flanders, who is very good at finding those seams and the soft spots in the defense with a big catch. And it's a first down, again, keeping the drive alive.
Well, head coach Earl Tillman talks about Flanders as the best route runner on their football team. That's a terrific effort of going down to the ground. Not so sure he caught it, but that was a terrific effort inside the 15-yard line.
Officials making that call as a catch. Benito makes the stop on Brownlee. 2nd down and goal.
This is where you have to worry again, the athleticism of Daniel Richardson, Clay. He's going to be able to move and use his legs either up the middle or on the outside.
Eric Walker threw 2 interceptions. And now Richardson to the end zone again, and another drop by Scott. This time a penalty marker's down. And it's against Booker T.
When that was nice anticipation by Daniel Richardson, he gave Darius Scott an opportunity.
Offense, 10-yard penalty. Down remains 2nd.
The ball ended up a little bit to his back shoulder, but Darius Scott may have just idle down when you're so wide open. Don't run through the window that's open in the back of the end zone. That's a good job again by the freshman.
Let's go back to that catch by Flanders.
At first glance, Clay, I wasn't sure he caught the football, but it looks like his hands are clearly under it. That's a terrific effort by Raymond Flanders.
He's going to be a focal point this year. Second down and goal, and another interception. The third interception for this defense tonight, this time Alvin Davis, the senior free safety. Well, the problems that plagued Booker T last week during the scrimmage rearing their ugly head again. 3 interceptions thrown by Tornadoes quarterbacks tonight. 14-0 Aquinas. And we're going to be talking with one here in a moment. So first down and 10 for St. Thomas Aquinas. And Sam Bruce out of the Wildcat. Big run. Now close to the 35-yard line.
And Clay, I like the call. You get a big turnover deep in your own end. You want to protect the football at all costs, but you want to start to control the game and get that momentum back. And the easiest way to do it is get it in to a guy that can make an explosive play, and that's what Sam Bruce does.
Again, built like a running back, 5'9", 186. Now this time it's James Charles, the transfer from Coconut Creek, who is committed to FAU. He's been limited in practice this preseason because of an injured ankle, but 100% according to Roger Harriet now.
Well, this is where you either take a shot down the field to the open side, you've got trips to the boundary.
There's Sam Bruce again, up the near sideline to the 48-yard line. He had 10 catches for 160 yards and a couple of touchdowns in last week's scrimmage. And he has the Raiders out close to midfield, already leading by 2 touchdowns. We're going to talk with a Hall of Famer and a St. Thomas alum. A lot of great family ties in this game here tonight. 14-0 St. Thomas Aquinas as we come back to Fort Lauderdale. And joining us up in the booth, the Hall of Famer, Michael Irvin. But you're just dad here tonight.
Yes, just dad. And what a great moment out here. You know, John will tell you, you know, playing here and getting a chance to watch your son go out on this field and play, it really is just a blessing moment.
Like your son has done, you transferred to St. Thomas Aquinas back in the day. Why did you come here to this program?
You know, and thank God, Michael came to me talking about that, you know, just trying to let's challenge ourselves. And of course, he has heard all the stories about, you know, because I told him all the stories about playing here. And he said, hey, let's take this opportunity and head to Florida. Now, it was hard for me to get my wife to okay it all. You know, but she finally got on board, and we made the decision to do it. And I thought it was just, it's the best decision in the world. These kids are a different kind of kid when you're hanging out in St. Thomas.
And, you know, Mike, we all have, you know, a parental figure, an adult that's always in our lives. But no matter what level you were at, George Smith was there for all of us. And I think that's one of the things that I remember about St. Thomas. I'm sure you do, and I'm sure the benefit of our sons that went through this program are going to do.
Right, and you know the spirit of the man. The man has been here forever. This is, no doubt in my mind, what God put him on earth to do. Is to help young men become the best they can be. And certainly he's done that for a great deal of men.
We've seen Michael get a touch here tonight. What does he do that you think is his best attribute?
Oh, well, he catches the football. He has great hands. You know, he has great hands. And that also, getting the opportunity to play here, you learn things at another level. You get the best coaching. You get to go against the best competition each and every day in practice. So, you know, you can't do anything but become the best player you can be.
This is Jake Allen out of the shotgun. Get a penalty flag here.
You know, Michael, I remember being on this field when it wasn't AstroTurf, when it was a couple holes and a couple rocks and a couple pieces of glass. And we would throw all summer. Before you came to St. Thomas, you were at Piper. And I remember going back to pit and seeing your nameplate on the recruiting board, and I would move it all the way up to wherever it was. I'd move it first. So they'd come back and they'd go, "Who's screwing around with the board?" And I'd raise my hand. I'd say, "Me." And they said, "Why?" I go, "Because he's better than anybody we have, and he's still in high school."
Yeah, hey, and I used to watch Jay out here, man. This is, you know, just some of the people that have come from this school, man, and everything. It's just great to say that I'm a Raider.
Now, your son is also committed to Miami, where you went to play. Now, what went into that decision, and how much talking did you guys do before he made that announcement?
Well, listen, he made the decision on his own, because you want to teach your kids how to make a decision. But as I said to everyone, there was a whole lot of brainwashing going on in the early years, you know.
Well, that's mandatory.
Right, exactly.
Mandatory.
When he was real young, I said, "Son, listen, you don't have to go to the University of Miami. You could tell me now so I can stop feeding you. You let me know."
We could find somewhere else for you to live.
Right. Exactly. So we're just thankful.
Henry Cole plowing ahead inside the 30-yard line. Boy, Michael, he's been impressive here tonight. He's had a lot of carries, and he's done something with the football almost every time.
Yeah, and he's running strong, man. You see that center of gravity. I like to talk about guys like this having what we call hit balance. When you hit him, it seems like all you did was straighten him up to run by you.
Michael, here comes maybe a little play action and maybe isolate somebody down here. But what do you think about the receivers that St. Thomas has?
Oh, you called it perfect.
That's incomplete. That was Dominic Thiemann, the intended receiver.
Yeah, good speed right there. Good opportunity. You know, put the ball up a little bit higher in the air, give them an opportunity.
They have different skill sets. You know, you have your son has great size, and you've got Sam Bruce that's kind of diminutive, can move in and out, catch the football everywhere. So you've got
this in a phone booth. And then big Grimes
on the eye. He's only a junior.
Exactly. Just a great group of receivers.
Irvin lined up in the slot. I'm going to go back to Henry Cole, who runs to the right side behind Irvin and the rest of the offensive line, and that's a gain of 8 yards as Holloway makes the tackle. Now, the second, Michael Irvin, the second, a little bigger than you were in your playing days. He is 6'3", 220 pounds. He's a load to bring down.
Right now, he's a pretty big kid.
I saw him yesterday. I went to pat him on the back. My hand bounced off. I said, "Man, I'm going to stop. I'm not even introduced myself."
And being in a program here, you know, working out through the whole summer, yeah, he feels like he has muscles growing now.
There's a loss of 10. As you take a look at Michael Irvin II, we're talking with Dad up here in the booth in Fort Lauderdale. He has transferred here to St. Thomas Aquinas, where Dad went to school, and hoping to win another state championship for the Raiders. You have 8 already.
Got a chance to go to Grimes on the boundary.
There's a penalty flag on the near sideline. There is Michael with the catch inside the 20 down to the 18-yard line. And that's a gain of 12 for Michael Irvin II. But there is a marker down.
It's a nice job by Michael securing the football and then putting a foot in the ground, going north and south.
Procedure. Illegal formation on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Down remaining second. Illegal procedure.
And talking about that,
let's take a look at this route here, Michael. What do you think of the second?
Yeah, and talking about it, you know, it's a zone situation right there. You don't dance around too much. Put your head down. Go get what you can get, north and south, right?
That's right.
You know, you see a lot of young guys start dancing around, and then that swoon comes and takes them away. So
every play can't be a game breaker.
Go north and south.
Unfortunately, a penalty on that play. That makes it second down and 25. First penalty against the Raiders here tonight. They've been pretty clean.
They've been able to protect the football.
Leading 14-0. Allen steps up to elude the rush. There's a marker down. He throws on the run. It's complete to the far sideline to Connor Cullens. Another country heard from. Cullens, a terrific receiver as well. That's a gain of 18, but there is a marker in the backfield.
It looks like it's going to be holding against St. Thomas, so back-to-back plays, you have positive yards taken away by mistakes. And Booker T needs to capitalize on that. And by doing that, I mean keeping St. Thomas at only a 2-touchdown lead.
Offense, 10-yard penalty, down remaining second.
If Booker T can get out of this half only down 2 touchdowns, they feel like they have the athletes where they're one play away from making a big play and making this a football game. Both tackles on the outside kind of converged behind Jake Allen, who stepped up in the pocket, but there was holding on the play.
Cullen's a nifty-looking receiver, 5'7", 160 pounds. And that play is wiped out as well. So now it's 2nd down and 43 as Allen will dump it off short, gets it in the hands of Henry Cole behind the screen. Plenty of running room, and he gets a ton of yardage back to the 30-yard line of Booker T. Washington. Finally brought down by Mackey. And that is a big gain on this screenplay of 25 yards.
Double screen. They had Sam Bruce to the wide side and Devontae Henry Cole to the short side. He does a nifty job of finding room to the short side to really make this a 3rd and more manageable than it was.
So now 3rd down and 19. Allen will check to the sideline.
One more positive play and they could be in field goal range.
14th play of the drive. Allen over the middle. It's caught. Thiemann bounces off a tackle and scampers in for a touchdown. Unbelievable. Their backs against the wall. 2 big plays and they're in the end zone. A touchdown by Thiemann, who's committed to Illinois.
Well, you talk about athletes, and we talked about a bunch of these guys as we opened the show. But Dominic Thiemann, the senior, is 6'3", 184 pounds. He's the vertebrae to Illinois. Just does a terrific job of concentrating on the ball, Michael, first, but then keeping his balance and keeping his leverage and finding a way to get in the end zone.
Yeah, did a wonderful job keeping his eyes on that football, knowing there was traffic around him.
James McCord comes on for the extra point. Well, Michael Irvin, we appreciate your time. We wish your son the best of luck in his career.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Great being with you.
Michael Irvin joining us here.
Great having you back.
Alma Mater St. Thomas Aquinas leading 21-0. They've scored all their points off of Booker T. Washington turnovers. This latest touchdown by Dominic Thiemann. John, do you see that maybe some of the commits for the Fighting Illini now back off, decommit?
Well, I think it's only natural. You have to take a look at the landscape and see what are the reasons why you commit to a university. You know, is it because of the head coach or the coordinators or your position coach? Is it because of the location of the university or your opportunity to play? I think you have to consider all those things, and Dominic definitely has to consider that now that there's been a change at the top at the head coaching position.
Here are the top recruits for Illinois in 2016. Eli Peters, another Florida kid, the number 36 quarterback as far as pocket passers go. He's from Jacksonville. We'll see what happens now that Tim Beckman was dismissed just a week before the start of the college football season.
That's tough timing.
Daniel Richardson still in at quarterback. He gives it to Craig Nelson. Good run on 1st down. Nelson has emerged as the most promising running back after a great camp for Booker T. Washington.
And he was one of those guys that played a different position in the spring, moved to running back because it seemed like Earl Tillman finally figured out he played running back as in the youth leagues in Miami. Looks good, looks natural with the football.
There's Richardson again, and that was a bad throw. Tried to fit it in there, but Mark Williams, the son of Darrell Williams, a former Miami All-American safety who played 10 years in the NFL, is there to break it up. It seems like every time an Aquinas player makes a play, there's some family connection to a star.
There definitely is, and Darrell's the safeties coach here at St. Thomas, and Mark leaning towards Indiana, but I'm sure he'll have that and other offers to consider.
21-0, Aquinas leading after 3 turnovers by Booker T. Washington, and there Richardson can't connect with Nelson in the flat. Nelson, we said he's going to be a focal point in the backfield. The Tornadoes lost Mark Walton, who signed at the University of Miami after last season.
And that's just a little bit of inexperience from Daniel Richardson. If you don't have a good base to set your feet on that bubble throw or that swing pass, it's difficult to be accurate with the football.
I thought before that interception, Richardson was looking very good.
Yes, I agree with you.
And a short throw and immediately wrapped up as Nelson by Drew White. White and Moody having a great night tonight in the linebacking core for Aquinas.
I mean, it's back and forth between 45 and 17, making plays out of this linebacking core. And they have great speed. Andrew White just flashes out to the flat.
And it's to go. And Aquinas get the ball back here. This is the first punt of the game.
This is where you have to really be careful if you're Booker T. Washington in the execution of the snap and making sure you get this kick off.
Jose Borgales, the three-star punter who's headed to FIU. He also does the kicking chores. Asante Samuel is back to return for the Raiders, standing at the 33-yard line. He calls for the fair catch. And with 41 seconds to go, the Raiders will have it at the 31-yard line, leading 21-0. Jake Allen, who is headed to Florida, the first quarterback prospect to commit to new Florida head coach Jim McElwain. A big get for McElwain, hired to fix that offense, which really struggled.
Well, Allen's done a pretty good job. 50%, over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I would say the only thing that I've seen so far from Jake Allen is on the deep ball, trying to give his wide receivers a better opportunity to make a play, because there's some size out there. And even if they're covered, they're really not covered. So give his size receivers on that deep ball a chance to go up and get the football.
Using that sideline, gets it in the hands of Trayvon Grimes, who steps out, stops the clock. McElwain will not get Allen until the 2017 season. In 2015, it's Will Greer and a former Booker T. Washington quarterback, Treon Harris, battling for that job. Looks like both of them will see time in that first game.
Yeah, one a pocket passer and one more of a dual threat.
Second down and 8, 36 seconds to go. This is Jenkins with a screen, finds some room to the 40, and now close to the 45-yard line. And that's Ladarius Williams bringing him down after a gain of 12. And that stops to move the chains.
And Clay, that one, you kind of question, James might have gotten out of bounds and really saved some time on the clock.
The clock running again. 20 seconds to go. It's complete at the 50 to Collins, who's immediately pushed back. Jaleel Rankin making the stop. And a timeout call as St. Thomas Aquinas has 15 seconds to work with here, and a second down and 5 from midfield coming up.
And that's a good coaching point. If you go back to the play before, James Jenkins gets the football, makes someone miss, but is outside the numbers already. So those 2 yards you're going to pick up by going north and south. You might want to get out of bounds, so you save yourself a couple of seconds and a timeout.
If you're just joining us, defense has really stood tall for the Raiders of St. Thomas Aquinas, ranked number 4 in the USA Today top 25. They picked off 3 Booker T. Washington passes, and they led to touchdowns. One by Devontae Henry Cole, one by Sam Bruce on a catch, and then Jake Allen hooking up with Dominic Thiemann, the senior who was committed to Illinois. Some nice work after the catch to get into the end zone.
Little skinny post on that last touchdown makes Morris miss out of the secondary, and it's 21-0 with 15 seconds left to go before halftime.
Allen, time to throw, dancing, gets it away. Dominic Thiemann again. And again, they can't bring him down. All the way to the 10-yard line. Clock winding down, and it expires. Did they get a timeout called before the clock expired?
You could see Roger Harriet, the head coach. The clock should have stopped anyway around 4 seconds.
That's what they're arguing. It says that the half is over here, but there is time on the clock.
Time out of the half. There is 3 seconds on the clock. 3 seconds on the game clock.
So 3 seconds remaining in the half, and now St. Thomas Aquinas has it at the 10-yard line.
Great individual effort by Jake Allen, and good protection by that offensive line to keep the play alive. And he finds his big receiver down the sidelines in Dominic Thiemann.
They're going to bring out James McCourt to attempt the field goal.
Dominic looks upset on the sidelines, but he shouldn't be. That was a heck of a play to put Aquinas in a position to get more points before halftime.
27-yard field goal attempt from McCourt. Great hurry-up offense there by St. Thomas Aquinas to set up this 27-yarder. In high school, they can kick off that block. But this one is no good. So Aquinas, the big play there just ahead of half. Well, McCourt misses, and it's 21-0 after the half. We now send you to Matt Schick in the studio for our halftime report.
Thank you, Clay. John, Matt Schick, along with Tom Luganville, ESPN National Recruiting Director. We have watched over the years Booker T. Washington be a part of 21-0 halftime games. They're usually on the giving end, not the receiving end. What do you make of what we've seen so far?
Well, it's really the first time we've seen Booker T. Washington in recent years have a bit of a rebuilding team. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of the freshman quarterback outside of the critical error there on the turnover. You're going to expect that from a youngster. They've just caught up against the St. Thomas Aquinas team with the addition of Jake Allen that has a little bit too much experience under center for them to match up with right now.
41 straight wins, 3 consecutive state championships. Booker T. Washington getting shut out at half, 21-0. As we said, over the next 3 days on ESPN networks, you will see 33 of the top 300 players, high school seniors in the nation in action, and the highest rated of those is in action right now, Nick Bosa. How do you compare him to his older brother Joey at Ohio State?
We think a little more range, a little more flexible than Joey was at the same time. To kick off this game, he had this is what I'd call a little bit of an attention getter. As you see him there lined up at the nose and then just absolutely putting the center on skates, very disruptive, can play along all defensive alignments. His brother did too. This young man, I think a lot of people, including the Ohio State coaching staff, have a feel that Nick could be a better long-term prospect than his brother Joey may be. And Joey, as we all know, if you've watched him as he's matured, has become a difference maker for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So we know that with Ohio State and with championship caliber football teams, you're going to build it from the inside out. You look at the fronts that Urban Meyer has put together there in a short period of time. Now he's just adding to it with another Bosa.
Again, Nick recently verbally committing to play for Urban Meyer at Ohio State. He's the #1 defensive end in the class of 2016. Some very talented defensive linemen in this class. 6 of the top 9 are D linemen. How about the #2 defensive end, McTelvin Najim?
Yeah, McTelvin Najim is a big, physical, rangy guy that can really run. We've got some clips of him throughout the evaluation process where he's running down skill guys down the sideline that they'll just wow you at his height and weight. Dexter Lawrence is one of those players that at times can look brilliant. At other times, you scratch your head because you're not quite seeing the production he's capable of. Started to really come on this summer and impress us a little bit more. Another Lawrence, Rashard Lawrence. No, Rashard's one of those guys, high motor, runs really well, real shocker. He's out of the state of Louisiana that produces just a wealth of talent year in and year out. Again, another strong year in the defensive line. How about Ed Oliver? Slightly undersized in terms of ideal measurable standards, particularly when it comes to height. Verbally committed right now to the University of Houston, and Tom Herman could be getting a player that could be an immediate impact guy along the front at the tackle position. Quickness, disruptive, and has a great feel for running down plays sideline to sideline.
And the big man.
The big guy, Rashawn Gary, a #1 ranked overall player in the ESPN 300. Maybe one of the more college-ready defensive line prospects we've seen in recent years when it comes to not just the athletic side of things, but the mental maturity, in our opinion, is something that really stands out about Rashawn Gary.
Again, Rashawn Gary, the #1 overall prospect in the ESPN 300. Just 3 of the top 10 are committed right now. You see at number 10, Isaac Nada was committed to Florida State, recently decommitted. You'll see him Sunday on ESPNU when IMG Academy.
Washington, they have turned 3 interceptions into points here after one half, alongside John Congemi, a former Aquinas quarterback, on Clay Matvick. And defense is really the biggest story from that first half, but I've been very impressed with Florida recruit Jake Allen. In that first half, he had 8 different receivers for St. Thomas.
He's done a nice job, Clay, protecting the football and just managing the offense. And as you said, 8 different guys touching the football on the outside. Must mean he's using his athletes to his advantage. So he's a smart quarterback as well. As a quarterback, you want to distribute the football and get it to your playmakers in space. I think Jake Allen, for the most part, has done that in the first half.
Let's take a look at the first half stats presented by Geico, and 8 different receivers, 177 yards through the air on 12 of 19 with the 2 touchdowns. They see Bosa. He made a statement early. A couple of big hits. He got right into the flow of the football.
He really did. He even made an appearance on the offensive side of the football for a handful of plays. So Henry Cole has been the workhorse for Aquinas on the ground, 16 rushes and 79 yards. Darius Scott has only 19 yards off of 3 receptions. Booker T. Washington, they need to find some rhythm on offense, and I think they're going to find it through the freshman of Daniel Richardson.
We talked about Bosa, who is headed to Ohio State, the number 3 defensive end in the country. He wasn't the only star, though, of that first half. There is one of the early hits we talked about. That secondary looked very good, too.
They really did. Frank Coppett gets the first turnover. He comes out of center field, and then Asante Samuel, right man at the right spot at the right time. And then you force the football down the middle. The young freshman, Richardson, throws it into a crowd, and Alvin Davis comes up with the interception. So 3 turnovers turn into points. You've got one of the better players in high school football, the 3rd-rated player in the ESPN 300, dominating on the defensive side of the football. Aquinas, this is the script Aquinas wanted to come out with. Kind of win the battle at the line of scrimmage, and then hopefully protect the football, stay away from the penalties, and try to win this game in the second half.
272 yards of offense for Aquinas to 99 for Booker T. Tornadoes will try and change their fortunes here in the second half. They'll have the football first. It's another touchback off the foot of James McCourt. Quarterbacking early on in this game was a sore spot for the Tornadoes. Eric Walker threw those 2 early interceptions on the first 2 drives. Daniel Richardson on his first possession at times looked good. The freshman then, however, also made a mistake, and it led to a turnover.
Well, down the stretch, you don't want to turn the football over, especially when you get inside the 20-yard line. You're taking points and opportunities off the board, but he's used his athleticism and his legs to be able to move the chains. Look for more of that in this third quarter.
This Booker T. Washington team lost 21 seniors from last year's squad. They're not as deep as years past. Shaquan Brownlee getting the carry here to start the second half. It's a gain of 2. They're especially light as far as depth on the offense and defensive lines. And that's a concern for Earl Tillman Jr. back for his second stint as head coach with Booker T.
And they're also playing with a lot of underclassmen, which makes it difficult going up against St. Thomas Aquinas on the road.
Second down and 8. It's Richardson, the freshman, cocking his arm, firing, and that's nearly picked off. Thrown behind the intended receiver, and Mark Williams almost had the 4th interception of the night for the Raiders.
I'm not so sure Raymond Flanders ever saw the football come out of Daniel Richardson's arm. That was one of those, just a basic curl route to the left side of the football field, and no one really reacted to the football. Mark Williams ended up being the closest defender to the play, and he almost had an interception fall right in his lap.
It's now a 3rd and long right away here for the Tornadoes with that 41-game winning streak on the line here tonight, down by 21 points. Oh, Richardson hit hard by Colin Nace, the defensive tackle. His helmet popped off. It's a loss of 7 and 4th down. The senior with a huge play.
We talked about Andrew White, Patrick Moody, some of the supporting cast with the interceptions. This time, Colin Nace, it just comes on a game inside. Makes a huge collision in the backfield on quarterback Daniel Richardson. Nowhere to go when number 98's coming down the middle.
What a defensive front for Matt Helmrich, defensive coordinator for the Raiders. He's got Bosa. He's got Colin Nace, Nick Benito, who's been active here tonight, and that linebacking core, especially Moody and White, has been terrific. Second punt here tonight. Sam Bruce back to return, standing at midfield. It bounces at the 46-yard line, checks up and takes a nice St. Thomas Aquinas roll. punt of just 27 yards. Good field position again for the Raiders, leading by...
Comes your way January 2nd on ESPN2. And, of course, it all leads up to National Signing Day. February 3rd this year, we'll have a big day for you on ESPNU. A lot of guys have verbally committed, John, to schools, but nothing is official until they sign on the dotted line.
Boy, isn't that true? And I'm sure a lot of college coaches around the country preparing for their seasons has an eyeball on recruiting 365 around the year, because that's important. That's their bloodline of being able to try to stockpile those ESPN 300 recruits.
177 yards passing for Allen, the Florida recruit, but he hands off to Devontae Henry Cole, who had 16 carries for 79 yards in the first half.
Booker T. Washington, the sideline, the defense seems to believe they stripped that football away from the running back, Henry Cole, but I don't think they're going to get the call. The officials seem like they spotted the ball down around the 41-yard or the 36-yard line.
Yep, it's a gain of 6 yards for Henry Cole, who also had a touchdown in the first half. He is committed to Utah. Here's another look at that play.
At the end, it's almost stood up and stripped away by Myron Morris.
And another run for Henry Cole, captain for this Raiders team. Jake Allen already committed to Florida.
And this is almost the same set play where they like to run play action and isolate Dominic Thiemann on a corner route down here below.
They'll run it again. And Henry Cole will get a few more. St. Thomas Aquinas, private Catholic school located here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 8 state championships, 3 in the last 5 years, including last year in Class 7A. And they have dominated the 4A state champs. In fact, defending it for the 3rd year in a row.
You've got Irvin in one slot and Bruce in the other. That's where you might want to take an opportunity to go to one of your playmakers on the inside.
On 2nd and 6, Allen to throw, comes to the near side, and it's Irvin, whose dad was up here earlier talking with us. Jaleel Rankin makes the tackle. It's a gain of 4 for Michael Irvin Jr. Again, a load to bring down. An inch taller and 15 pounds heavier than his dad was. And this guy's still in high school, a senior in high school.
And he's still growing. The UM commit, like his father years prior, looks like he's one of those guys that has deceptive speed.
6'3", 220 pounds. Henry Cole again on 3rd down and 2. He's short of the first down.
Boy, good play at the point of attack that time. Martin Crew, the defensive lineman from Booker T. Washington, does a nice job of submarining at the line of scrimmage and making a tackle.
And Netron Stork, the former star at Booker T. Washington, who also played at South Carolina, now the defensive coordinator, shuffling some guys in that aren't on the 2 deep. And now you see Jaleel Rankin, the middle linebacker, who's down. And we talked about it before, John. This is a Tornadoes team that doesn't have the depth that it's had in years past. Can't afford a lot of injuries.
And on a humid South Florida night, I know these guys practice in the mornings, in the middle of the day, but that humidity catches up to you. We saw earlier in the game, Sam Bruce was on the table trying to work out a kink on his left calf, it looked like, where he had a cramp, and now Booker T in the same situation.
There's only one senior starter on the entire defense for Booker T. Washington, and only one returning starter, period. The biggest contrast between St. Thomas Aquinas and Booker T. numbers. Aquinas has about 100 kids on its roster. Booker T about 55. And there's Henry Cole again, and he'll pick up the first down on 4th and short. He's been a battering ram.
He is impressive. He's not a big guy at 5'8", 185 pounds, but he runs bigger than his stature. And you like the way he squares his shoulders up, and there's no hesitation. He's going to make one move, and he's going to try to get through the line of scrimmage as that last carry takes him over 100 yards.
36th best running back prospect in the senior class, according to Recruiting Nation. It's another carry. And terrific leader. He's a team captain. Roger Harriet says that he's a very coachable kid, and he's on his way to Utah. 23 carries, 105 yards, and a touchdown. Go back to him. And it'll be inside the 10, down to the 9-yard line after that 4-yard gain by Devontae Henry Cole. 3rd and 2 coming up.
Good recognition by Gregory Reddick for Booker T, coming off the wide side of that defensive formation and closing down on Henry Cole.
And now Marlon Pilo is down. Sam linebacker for Booker T. Washington. Here to you tomorrow at noon, right here on ESPN. Miami Central and DeMatha Catholic out of Maryland. Number 2 versus number 5. It is a great weekend of high school football across the ESPN networks. There are 16 ranked seniors and juniors in that game between Miami Central and DeMatha Catholic tomorrow. Here's Jake Allen on 3rd down and 2. Takes a shot at the end zone, and they come up empty. Pretty well covered was Trayvon Grimes. Dedrick Mackey, the only returning starter on that defense for the Tornadoes. Scholarship offers from Temple, South Florida, and FAU. He was in on that coverage.
That was nice anticipation by Mackey coming out from the middle of the football field in that free safety position. He read the eyes of Jake Allen and broke on the football perfectly.
So brings up 4th and 2. The Tornadoes holding. They're going to force a field goal attempt here, at least it looks like. A 25-yard attempt by James McCourt. He missed a field goal attempt at the end of the first half. And that one also misses.
And there's a late flag also, Clay.
And there's a marker down at the 10-yard line.
Looks like it's going to go against St. Thomas.
Dead ball foul, unsportsmanlike conduct on the kicking team. The ball be added from the 20-yard line, 1st and 10 on the 35, Miami.
Well, Aquinas with a big lead, but they have had opportunities to put more points on the board, and they've actually been their worst enemy in those situations.
They have. The last 2 times they've been down in the red zone, James McCourt has missed 2 field goals to the left side, and you figure he has plenty of leg. We've seen him kick the football into the end zone on the kickoffs, and one of those things, to get to the next level, you have to be accurate. And I know the University of Pittsburgh, Michigan State, Florida, all looking at McCourt. Those one of those things that you have to sharpen up to get to that next level.
They feel comfortable with him from 45 and in. He's missed now from 27 and 25 as Daniel Richardson. It's Gustavius Dames with that pass. Dames dropped the ball he should have had in the end zone in the first half.
There was a couple drops in that second quarter that took points off of the board for Booker T. Washington.
He is the oldest of the 3 Dames brothers. Richard and Richard Dames are the twins. One plays offense, one plays defense. There's a low snap. Richardson should have had it. He recovers, but no room to operate on the near side. And he is smothered by Iamuno and White. There is Drew White, number 17 again, involved in the play, this time a loss of 5.
We've seen Andrew White run sideline to sideline for this Aquinas defense and does a nice job, again, of locating the football and then taking a direct line to the quarterback.
We have seen almost every starter on the St. Thomas Aquinas defense shine in one moment or another. Coming up on 6 minutes to play in the quarter. Richardson on 3rd down and 9 heaves it downfield. Well incomplete. There is a flag down as
it looks like it's going to be roughing the passer.
Yeah, Richardson peels himself up off the turf as Dante Carrier-Williams blasted him, and he's going to be flagged for it. Dante Carrier-Williams, a transfer from Booker T. Washington.
That might have been a frustration play by Carrier-Williams because the pass was well overthrown. Aquinas was poised to get the football back, and now their defense stays on the field.
Roughing the passer on the defense. 15-yard penalty results in a 1st down.
Break there for the Tornadoes. Carrier Williams, he has committed to the Cincinnati Bearcats. And we've got a water break here in Fort Lauderdale. We're going to take a look at this roughing the passer as we go to break. Dante Carrier Williams getting a little overzealous there. Good field position for the Tornadoes, down 21 when we come back.
21
on A&E.
Clay Matvick and John Congemi back in Fort Lauderdale for the Geico High School Kickoff. 21-0. St. Thomas Aquinas talking a lot about recruiting here tonight. You see Ohio State with a terrific class. And that includes Nick Bosa, who's starred here tonight for St. Thomas Aquinas. Down the line, you see Florida State. There is Miami at number 8. And decent recruiting class for Al Golden. This is going to be a big season for him.
Well, it's no secret. Al Golden and his staff, they have to have success in 2015, and they have to do it within the ACC. It's been a little bit disappointing, to say the least, the way they've played like a roller coaster over the last couple of seasons. So it's imperative that the U get back, especially getting the South Florida recruits as we see tonight.
Daniel Richardson dumps it off to Craig Nelson. Hit at midfield. And right around the line of scrimmage, he is brought down by Bosa and Moody. Boy, number 45 has been terrific. I'd almost go as far as saying that he has been the best player on the defense tonight.
Between Patrick Moody and Andrew White, I think everybody's kind of pitched in. You know, you talk about the 3 interceptions and the imposing figure that Nick Bosa has been, but those 2 linebackers have done a terrific job.
2nd and 9. That is caught. Raymond Flanders, 5'11", 170-pound senior, takes it out of bounds, escorted out by Williams. It's a 12-yard pickup and another penalty mark. Steve Ciaradello, our lead referee here tonight.
Dead ball, personal foul, defense. 15 yards headed to the end of the run.
That's the second of those, John, on this series.
Well, I can tell you, head coach Roger Harriott can't be happy with the discipline that's been shown by this defense in the third quarter. They're allowing Booker T. Washington to have some success, but added on to that success are really errors that shouldn't be made on the sidelines. And I'm sure that will be addressed, but even if it's close, those guys have to peel off, especially on the sidelines.
So now 1st and 10 is the 6th penalty against Aquinas. And Craig Nelson hit in the backfield, able to get back close to the line of scrimmage. Going to bring up 2nd down to Booker T. Paul and Iamuno, the nose and rush in, combine on the stop.
Well, Booker T. Washington was in this position just before halftime, and they threw an interception down the middle. And that's one mistake Daniel Richardson cannot make. He has to protect the football and really rely on his legs down here in good decisions.
Nelson can't bring it in. There's Drew White in the coverage. Again, that 41-game winning streak has to be in the back of the mind of these Booker T players as a man is down for the Tornadoes here with 4:38 to go in the third quarter. Earl Tillman Jr. in his first year back as head coach. Won 28 games between 2008 and 2010, but stepped back for health reasons. He broke his leg in a couple of places during a practice. He was actually breaking up a fight during a 7-on-7 drill. Really hurt his leg badly. Had to step back for a few years. And now he's back as head coach and wants to keep this train rolling forward.
What's amazing what Booker T. Washington has done over the past 3 seasons. You go 13-1 in 2012 with Tim Ice Harris, who's now at UM as an assistant coach, winning a state championship, as well as going undefeated in 2013. And then his son, who is at FIU, Tim Harris Jr., goes undefeated last season for the 3rd in a row.
There's Treon Harris, Ice Harris's son, competing for that starting quarterback job in Florida. Boy, Richardson avoids a hit, gets away from Bosa, who was bearing down, and gets it to about the 23-yard line where Drew White finally makes the tackle. It's still a loss of 2, but Richardson almost got crushed by Bosa.
And that last guy was Andrew White again at linebacker. He almost gets the sack does Nick Bosa, but he eludes it. Daniel Richardson's able to escape Bosa, but he can't escape Andrew White, and we've talked about him on a number of occasions. He's been that guy that's shown up for Aquinas with Patrick Moody at that linebacker position.
And now Eric Walker's going to come in at quarterback for Booker T on 4th down and 12.
It looked like Daniel Richardson might have tweaked a right ankle or a leg on that last play.
They're going to actually bring on the field goal unit. This will be a 39-yard attempt. Walker will hold it for Borgalis. Get Booker T on the scoreboard. That's good. He had a 44-yard game winner in the scrimmage last Friday night. That one good from 39, and the first points for Booker T. Washington with 3:51 to go here in the third quarter.
Nice drive by Booker T. Washington. Added on with some mistakes by St. Thomas, but they take advantage and get on the board. And this is a team that likes to rely on big plays. They can get it in special teams. They're one fumble or one interception away from getting that momentum back and getting back in this football game.
We were talking to Earl Tillman Jr. about the winning streak here this past week. He says that winning streak is more than just about football. It's about winning in the classroom and at home and being a good citizen. If you fail at any of those, you're going to get suspended from the team, and that's going to affect our play on the field. So it's been a complete effort in life during this entire win streak.
No, you're right. They say they try not to focus on it. You know, they tries to express to his kids to play fast, play right, do the right things, and he believes that his kids and that message is understood.
8 plays, 43 yards, 257. Time of the scoring drive, 39-yard field goal by Borgalis. Finally get the Tornadoes on the board. And he'll kick it here inside the 5. And this is Sam Bruce, the future Miami Hurricane, across the 20-yard line down at the There's Jake Allen heading to Florida. Still has a senior year after this one at Aquinas. Ranked the 7th best pocket passer in the 2017 class by ESPN. He sure passes the eye test. Devontae Henry Cole on the carry. He passes the eye test too. He's looked very good tonight. At the 32-yard line, he is roughed up out of bounds, and the penalty flag comes out after that 9-yard gain by Henry Cole. A late hit along the sideline, John.
Yeah, and it looked like Booker T. Washington taking a page out of the Aquinas defense. You've got a running back or a wide receiver near the boundary. You have to be able to lay off, and that's going to add some yardage.
Defense, 15-yard penalty, and the end of the run results in a first down.
It may have been Richard Dames, the free safety coming out of the middle. That was the guy that laid the late hit on Henry Cole.
And Jaleel Rankin, the middle linebacker for Booker T. Washington, is still on the ground. And I think you're right about the heat tonight. It's affecting the players. They're cramping up.
It did get a little bit cloudy and a little bit overcast. Looked like it may have stormed a couple of hours ago or was going to, and that took some of the humidity out. But when that left, it seemed like the heat came right back, and you could feel it when we stepped out of the booth at halftime.
And, of course, everyone here in South Florida is bracing for Tropical Storm Erica, which is heading this way. Hopefully it'll stay a tropical storm and turn into a hurricane.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd like to golf Sunday or Monday.
Governor Rick Scott has issued a state of emergency here in Broward County. They're actually handing out sandbags tonight and tomorrow. And there's another player. That's Nick Bosa, who's down on his back on the Aquinas sideline being attended to by the training staff. It's good to see Jaleel Rankin is making his way to the sideline.
Not a good sign when you see guys getting helped off, and I know that's cramps. Bosa on the sidelines for Aquinas. We've seen another wide receiver, James Jenkins, for Aquinas on crutches after halftime. So many injuries in this opening game.
So first down at 10 after the penalty, and Sam Bruce comes back in the Wildcat for the Raiders. Miami Hurricanes recruit. Hasn't thrown one yet out of this formation, and he runs it here as well. And gets across midfield, the 48-yard line of Booker T. Brandon Tobar, the defensive tackle, makes the stop. What has impressed you most about Sam Bruce here tonight?
I think with limited opportunities and limited touches, he's been able to affect the game and affect the scoreboard. And that's what all great players do.
Lines up in the slot on the far side this time. Jackson Kincaid, who's been used sparingly tonight. It's a carry here. The 5'9", 185-pound senior. It's a 3-yard gain. So now 3rd down and 2. As it's getting late here in the third quarter. 21-3. St. Thomas Aquinas, the number 4 team in the country. Jake Allen. A deep handoff to James Charles, looking for running room on the near side. Dropped at the 45 by Richard Dames. And now it's going to be 4th down and 2.
And Gregory Reddick was the guy in the backfield. He's the one that caused Devontae Henry Cole to stop and then start again. And a terrific job cleaning up by Richard Dames. So a good defensive stand for Booker T. Washington when they desperately need it. They need to get the football back so they can have an opportunity to score some more points.
Well, they fake that they're going to get into punting formation, and then Allen comes up under center. And a timeout called by Booker T. Washington, as they need to talk about their defensive strategy. We talked about the Miami Hurricanes earlier in the season ahead for Al Golden, that coaching staff, and that team. This is the 2016 recruiting class. It's a pretty good one. It's a top 10 recruiting class according to Recruiting Nation. 22 total commits, 8 inside the ESPN 300.
And it's a good thing Sam Bruce kind of fits what they lost last season with Philip Dorsett. He's moved on, a first-round draft choice of the Indianapolis Colts. Now you're going to get Sam Bruce maybe a year and a half later, and you're able to stockpile that returner, that game changer with speed on the outside. And that's what the Hurricanes are trying to do.
And the nephew of Isaac Bruce certainly doesn't lack for confidence.
I mean, me growing up, Isaac Bruce's nephew, I have to say it's a pretty big platform, man. I'm definitely looking to completely break that platform. You will not know who Isaac Bruce is after I'm done. I'm telling you, man, I promise.
How about that?
A lot of room in those shoes, but I like the confidence.
This is the first punt of the night for St. Thomas Aquinas. McCourt drops it inside the 20-yard line, takes a nice roll inside the 10. And it will be a long field for Booker T. Washington with 1:40 to go here in the third quarter. Down 21-3. Again, Sam Bruce built the way he is at 5'9", 186, and it's a very thick physique. And he's going to add more weight, and he's going to get stronger when he gets to Miami. He can be used in a lot of ways.
He really can.
It appears to me.
You know, you're looking at a returner, you know, as a freshman. You think he can make an impact right away on special teams, and then getting him the football in the slot. And I mentioned Philip Dorsett. He was a former St. Thomas Aquinas player, went to the U, and is now in the National Football League. Reminds me a lot of the finished product that Philip was or is now. And I think Bruce is well ahead of where Philip was in his career as a high school athlete.
They certainly don't lack for talent in that receiving corps for St. Thomas. With Bruce, Michael Irvin Jr., we've seen Dominic Thiemann catch a touchdown pass tonight, and he has been hard to tackle after the catch. Trayvon Grimes, a highly recruited junior. That is a position where they have a lot of depth. Now Richardson, and that one's picked off. It was deflected into the arms of Mark Williams. Mark Williams with the 4th interception for the Aquinas defense tonight. A penalty flag is down, but well after the interception. And that's a block in the back after the interception, and on the return, it was off the hands of Richard Dames, and Mark Williams was Johnny on the spot. The 4th pick tonight for that D.
After the interception, we have a block in the back on the from the intercepting team, results in a first down and 10.
Clay, it's another opportunity for St. Thomas, but another pass that could have been caught by a receiver at Booker T. Washington. Although it was high and behind, Dames had his hands on the football in a great athletic play. Hand-eye coordination by Mark Williams, who's leaning to Indiana with a spectacular interception.
Now Jake Allen trying to make him pay. Has a man open. It's Sam Bruce. Puts on the brakes at the 5, dives to the end zone and scores. Touchdown Aquinas. A 32-yard hookup with Allen, and Bruce doing the dirty work after the catch.
Quick strike offense by Aquinas, taking advantage of another Booker T. Washington interception and turning it into points. Good job by Jake Allen on the outside. Bruce was wide open. No one around. He puts on the brakes about the 5-yard line and then gets into the end zone.
Maybe he's right. Isaac who? And Jaquan Beaver, the defensive end, is down at the 40-yard line for Booker T. So there's an injury timeout in the field as Beaver is down, and I think it's the same problem here.
Yeah, there's been a ton of cramps tonight on both sides, but Booker T seems like in this second half they've had the lion's share of the trainers out on the field.
Another touchdown off of an interception. Points off turnovers, the big story in this football game tonight.
It really has been. A nice job by St. Thomas, again, their defense setting the table for the offense, and good distribution on the route there. You see Aquinas spreading the field, going empty, and getting another good decision out of Allen from the quarterback spot. I've been impressed with the way he's managed the game. He hasn't turned it over. He hasn't forced the football. And when you have those types of athletes around you, you have to be the facilitator to throw the football, protect the football, and make good decisions. That's what he's done tonight.
Man, that doesn't look good. Beaver basically carried off the field. Again, a sophomore who is on the radar of many programs and has a bright future at Booker T. His team ready to go down 28-3 here late in the third quarter. Another extra point attempt for McCourt. The very confident Sam Bruce, his second touchdown here tonight.
And it might have been a busted coverage. It looked like he slipped past the cornerback and then puts on the brakes around the 5-yard line, getting inside of Dedrick Mackey and finding a way to get into the end zone. He feels the free safety coming, he puts the brakes on, and then is able to stretch the football to break the plane of the goal line.
3 catches, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns for Sam Bruce, the Miami Hurricanes recruit. And now 28 points off turnovers for the Raiders of St. Thomas Aquinas.
It seemed like St. Thomas might have been sleepwalking a little bit through that third quarter. A couple of mistakes on defense kept drives alive for Booker T. Washington. They cash in with a field goal, but then you have a turnover by that same defense, and one play later, St. Thomas makes the Tornadoes pay in terms of 6 points, and now the score at 28-3.
And weighing in the back, in the minds of the Booker T. Washington players, that winning streak. And they've been talking throughout the offseason how they don't want to be the group that brings that 41-game streak to an end. This is going to get into the end zone. But it's in jeopardy of coming to an end here tonight. ESPN's coverage of the Arena Football League continues tomorrow with the 2015.
You know, as it gets into the fourth quarter and it doesn't look like they've closed the gap, I think you start having those feelings. But right now, as a quarterback or as a player on Booker T. Washington's team, you have to feel like you have an opportunity to get back into this game.
Eric Walker back in at quarterback for Booker T. And Corey Hammett gets a carry.
And that hurts, and it limits the quarterback's effectiveness running out of the pocket, because we saw Daniel Richardson use his legs in that first half when he relieved Eric Walker. Now Richardson's on the sideline, looked like he had a leg injury, and you bring the senior back off the bench who hasn't played in a couple quarters.
Eric Walker, 2 interceptions thrown in that first quarter. Aquinas capitalized immediately. It was 14-0 before people even got comfortable in their seats here at the Brian Piccolo Stadium. There's Raymond Flanders scampering along the sideline for a 13-yard gain and goes out of bounds to stop the clock with 33 seconds here to play in the quarter.
Nice pitch and catch on the outside by Walker to Scott. And it's good to see 97 in blue and gold back on the football field. Nick Bosa looking, he was getting his leg attended to last series, but he's back at his defensive end position.
He's been fairly quiet here in the second half after a very loud first half. One thing about Bosa, John, that the coaches really talk about, and it probably doesn't get enough attention as another player's dinged up, it appears, is the character of Nick and how good he is in the classroom. He's a 4.0 student.
He is. He's a 4.0 student, as you mentioned. He carries himself as a role model. And, you know, Roger Harriet talked about him so much over the last couple of days, and he thinks his best days are ahead of him. So that's a scary proposition for opponents of Ohio State.
Third quarter comes to an end. Nick Bosa and the Aquinas defense have 4 interceptions in this football game through 3 quarters, and they have led to 28 points.
The other 10 guys on defense as well, and he's put pressure, relentless pressure on both quarterbacks, Daniel Richardson and Eric Walker. It hasn't been shown up largely on the stat sheet, but his presence is always felt because I think he's going to draw 2 jerseys from the opposing team just about every game.
The #1 defensive end in the class of 2016. The #3 player overall, Eric Walker, airing it out. It's underthrown. Did he stay in bounds? No. That was nearly intercepted by Carrier Williams. Already 4 picks thrown by Booker T quarterbacks tonight, and that was nearly the 5th.
Well, that's been really the difference in this football game. Cutting the field down and using those interceptions and turnovers and turning them into points. I think St. Thomas has done a nice job of taking advantage of the mistakes the Booker T Washington quarterbacks and the drops of the receivers have made.
Just saw that flash up on the screen. Last loss for Booker T, September 8th, 2012 to Miami Central, who's playing tomorrow on ESPN. 41-game winning streak. That caught at the 41-yard line by Flanders. So it's going to bring up 4th down. And about 4 yards to go.
And this is one you have to have if you're Booker T Washington. You have to convert here and keep your offense on the field, because if you don't, it's a very short field for Aquinas at the 40-yard line.
And another score of any kind for St. Thomas Aquinas might be the haymaker. There's Walker to the outside, and penalty flag is down. It's incomplete to Asante Samuel Jr.
That was great anticipation by Samuel on the edge, but the overthrow and the ball, actually, if it's on target.
On the defense, 15-yard penalty results in a 1st down.
He's able to make a play on it, Clay.
Yeah, that's Asante Samuel Jr. with the penalty.
So that's going to keep the Booker T Washington drive alive. Now it's on the Aquinas 45-yard line, and that's what they needed to have happen. Either success through the air or a mistake by Aquinas to keep this drive alive, to keep their offense on the field. But they need to strike in a hurry. With 11:03 left to go in this football game, they have to find a way to get into the end zone on this drive.
From the 45 of Aquinas, Walker hands it off. Hammett runs into a wall at the line of scrimmage. That's a loss. And again, it's Drew White, number 17, the junior weak side linebacker, having a night.
Guess who? Andrew White again. I think Patrick Moody and Andrew White from those linebacking position, Moody on the inside, White on the outside, they really play off of each other well. They do a great job of knowing their assignments and bracketing the ball carrier and finding a way to get to the football.
Recruiters are taking notice tonight.
I hope so.
Those juniors both undeclared.
Those kids can play.
Somebody can use him. Eric Walker hit as he throws. Bosa came in and leveled him. He got it away just in the nick of time, but not to avoid the pain of that hit by Nick Bosa, the future Ohio State Buckeye.
Well, he's been close all night, pressuring the quarterbacks, and this time again he gets a hit on the quarterback, Eric Walker, and that's just a tough assignment for anybody playing offensive tackle. If you're one-on-one with Nick Bosa, that's going to be most of the time a losing proposition.
Roger Harriet will tell you, yeah, Joey might be the best defensive player in college football this year. He thinks his brother Nick could be better right now. How about that? Sliding to the 35, there is Eric Walker, who makes something out of nothing. And Bosa making the tackle. He is slow to get up, but he does get to his feet.
I think he got hit by one of his own teammates trying to make a hustle play about 15 yards down the field. He definitely got hit. He's going to probably have to take a couple plays to regroup.
He plays so hard that he's going to have a few nicks and bruises after the end of every game.
That's true.
So 4th down here, 4th and 1. Trying to keep this drive alive. Penalty flag is going to blow. Going to fly in again, and whistles blow. A lot of flags here, especially in the second half.
Start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
That really hurts.
Yeah, 4th and 1. A lot easier than 4th and 6 for head coach Earl Tillman. And they've been in this position before. They've gone outside either to Darius Scott or Raymond Flanders on that quick hitch route. Just or actually catching it in shotgun, a 5-yard route to the outside. He'll have to extend that because you want to be able to run this route with enough yardage for the 1st down.
3 receivers line up to the near side. Walker with Corey Hammett in the backfield. 4th down and 6 after the penalty. Pressure coming in again, and it's R.J. Jean this time. The backup to Nick Bosa coming in and sacking Walker. That is a loss of 6.
Good job winning at the line of scrimmage by the 6'4 senior R.J. Jean, the Fordham commit, doing a terrific job taking the speed on the edge. Aquinas has done a great job of pressuring both Eric Walker and Daniel Richardson. This time, R.J. Jean cleans it up.
Thomas Aquinas, still the athletic director here, joins us up in the booth. And I noticed John got nervous.
I started stepping away a little bit.
Yes, I noticed that.
Gave Coach his room, that's right.
What was it like coaching this guy?
Well, I'll tell you what, John was a great competitor and truly a bundle of joy to coach. He was smart, and we had fun, and that was a big deal.
That's right.
He had fun, and we had some pretty good players back then, which I think he made a lot better.
You coached for a long time, Coach. You won 6 state championships. Was it hard stepping away from the sidelines?
I think anything's like that, just like you guys doing. So, yeah, it was. But you guys got to get back. So, anyway, hey, we're playing pretty good, and I thank you guys for being on our campus.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you having us here, George.
Great being back. I just want to ask you your thoughts, Coach, like, you know, seeing where the program, where you started with this program back in the 70s and through the 80s and through the years, through the championships and where it is now, you have to feel like you've been able to touch so many guys and be able to create so many opportunities for young athletes trying to play college football. What do you take away from all that when you look back at all the years? What's your biggest takeaway?
John, the biggest takeaway is the great human beings that have played here and the great people they turned out to be. Now, obviously, not everybody is going to be whatever, but we have, you know, a lot of college graduates. We have doctors, lawyers, firemen, policemen, plumbers, but people that made an impact in their lives. And I remember in 2008 we were going to go play in Cincinnati at Elder, the first national televised game, which I think you worked also. And we sat them down in the locker room on Thursday. We were flying Friday, and when they were packing their bags, and I just point blank said, you guys have nothing to do with us going to Cincinnati. And it's not this team. It's a team of 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And it's your job to make sure the kids that might be in 8th grade or 9th grade or 7th grade have the opportunity to do that again. And here we are tonight, and we're playing on national TV. So our guys right now understand that they got to pay forward get the young kids in the stand and watch what they're doing.
Michael Irvin with that catch out to the 26-yard line. And you were part of the decision to hire Roger Harriet. He's now in his first year as head coach. What do you like about what he's going to bring to this program?
Roger, if you guys talk to him, is a gentleman. He's a Christian man. He has tremendous beliefs about how you treat kids. And I think we both believe that kids still want to be disciplined.
There's Jackson Kincaid. Boy, Coach, he almost got into the end zone there. I think they're going to mark him down at the 1. There is a marker down.
Well, anyway, making a short story on Roger, the guy's a great guy, spiritual. He believes in kids, and that's all you need to do. And what you need to do is at times put your arms around them and say everything's going to be okay. But yet, you got to make them tough as far as being disciplined, have the right attitude, not only on the football field, but much more in life and in the classroom.
Does he pick your brain a little bit?
Well, we sit around and we actually laugh about old times. I don't know if that's picking your brain.
Well, you were talking about discipline. There's another penalty against St. Thomas Aquinas. Those have cropped up a little bit, George, here in the second half for the Raiders.
Well, you know, I don't know. There's always penalties in games, and always players do things that they probably shouldn't do, and obviously the coaches don't want them to do, but that's going to happen. And I'm sure that we will make a lot of changes as we did after the Durham game. We had a lot of holding penalties. I really haven't only seen one tonight, I believe. And that's what the staff does. That's what coaches do. That's what teachers do.
I think there was some movement on that right side that time. But all in all, a pretty good night for St. Thomas Aquinas.
Well, I think it's a good night overall. I mean, we're winning the game. We had a great crowd, and we were able to show ourselves on national television and promote this high school and what it stands for.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Coach, when you come back, and no matter what age you are, you always want to give back, and you always want to be part of, you always will be part of the program. And we had Michael Irvin on earlier. I've seen a number of teammates, guys that have played in this program that I've been part of staffs that I've coached. And I think that's the thing that's unique to this school.
Feels like a family around
here.
Yeah,
it really does.
There's a pass that's caught by Trayvon Grimes along the sideline. Good work again by Grimes after the catch inside the 25.
Well, at the halftime, there was about 8 or 9 guys that I haven't seen for some time. We took them into the lobby, and we have pictures of all our former players and where they played at. And here they are looking at themselves years ago and laughing. And that was a great feeling for me, and I think what our program needs.
Well, George, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Good seeing you again.
We all thank you, Coach.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you being here. And Grimes just caught a pass.
Yes, he did. Trayvon Grimes with a touchdown. What a night it has been for this Raiders offense. Jake Allen throwing another touchdown strike. Trayvon Grimes, who's leaning toward Ohio State, scores on that one.
Yeah, that was one of those things that you just throw it up to a wide open receiver in the corner of the end zone. Good again at the line of scrimmage by Grimes, getting off of that press coverage and being able to run that fade route to the back of the end zone.
Third touchdown pass for Jake Allen. In his first start as a St. Thomas Aquinas quarterback. And it is 35-3, St. Thomas Aquinas, with 7 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. It's all Raiders here in Fort Lauderdale. Geico High School Kickoff on ESPN. This is the first of 10 games coming your way this weekend. And we'll be showcasing the kids who are next as far as the future of college football. We've seen Nick Bosa, number 3 player in the nation, the number 1 defensive end, be a star here tonight for St. Thomas Aquinas. As Brownlee takes a hit at the 15 and falls ahead to the 19-yard line for Booker T. Washington. Well, Booker T. Washington had a very good run here going back to September 8th of 2012. They have won 41 straight games. The longest current winning streak in the entire state of Florida. And there are a lot of high school football teams in this state, something to certainly be proud of. But it looks like that streak's going to come to an end here tonight, John.
And I think it's important for Earl Tillman, their head coach, to not make one game make or break their season. Yes, it's a difficult loss. You break the streak of 41 straight. But you've got the nucleus of a team that has playmakers. You have to eliminate the mistakes. That's number one. 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions. You can't have that. The penalties. You have to figure out what you're good at and stick to that. And it looks like, quarterback run has been one of those things that have been pretty good to the Tornadoes as a big shot.
Nolan Rodriguez, the backup to Drew White, who has been everywhere tonight. His backup with a huge hit on Eric Walker.
But it's been unbelievable. St. Thomas Aquinas has played relentless on defense, and just the sound of the popping of the pads deep into the fourth quarter, you can still say some guys want to get noticed so they can get some more playing time as this season progresses.
Booker T. Washington, winners of the last 3 Class 4A state titles, including that undefeated season last year, but they lost so much from a year ago. And Earl Tillman Jr., in his first year of his second stint as head coach, did not have the luxury of having these guys back. They're all at major colleges now. So there's some work to be done, pretty evident after tonight. With that said, losing on St. Thomas Aquinas' home field on opening night is certainly not a disgrace. There's a water break with 6:07 to play here. Mandatory hydration break. All Aquinas late. Tonight, Michael Irvin II and the rest of the Raiders having a terrific opening night.
You know what? It was a nice opportunity to chat with Michael and Tony Sands, another former player at St. Thomas who went on to Kansas and set NCAA records, chatting with Mike on the sidelines. And it's always good to catch up with guys that have done so much in the NFL and reaching the ultimate goal as the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
There's Tyler Dunning with a tackle in the backfield, another future Miami Hurricane. The number 10 inside linebacker in the 2017 class, so he's a junior. And Tyler Dunning with a few tackles here tonight. His best days here at St. Thomas Aquinas are ahead of him.
I think a lot of these players have been able to come up and get more playing time. When you get a game and a score that's 35-3, more players get in the rotation at defensive line, linebacker, safety, corner, so you get some experience, and experience against a quality team on national TV doesn't hurt.
Well, it all started with the defense tonight. It's the football
and be the orchestrator of the offense.
Walker hits Scott in the flat for a short gain. And see if they give him the first down on that. Well, they did not make it, and it's going to be a turnover on downs, so Aquinas will get it back. Jake Allen had offers from Rutgers, among others. He wanted to play in the SEC. He is going to Florida. He's just a junior, though. He had a big night tonight, 17 of 24, 264, 4 touchdown passes. And again, as we mentioned, did not turn it over.
Yeah, welcome to St. Thomas, Jake Allen. He did an excellent job of protecting the football, distributing the football, and making good decisions. And you hope that you can build on a night like tonight. And he did an excellent job of doing everything a quarterback needs to do to be successful.
Hold on. Bo Felicio is in now. He is Allen's backup. You mentioned how you played with his dad, Ben, former wide receiver at St. Thomas. There's another penalty flag.
I did. I've watched Bo grow into a quarterback that is now 6'3", 180 pounds, and he's only a sophomore. And he's going to look like have to wait to get his opportunity here with Jake Allen, only a junior, but ready to step in. I always tell the backup, you're always a play away from playing. So that's one of those things you have to be patient with.
Jake Allen, our Geico MVP of the game.
Well-deserved, Jake Allen. Excellent night in your debut at St. Thomas Aquinas.
And he's going to be able to help 41-01 Jim McElwain recruit, not directly, but indirectly over the next couple of years, because he can tell his guys, hey, look who I've got coming in. I've got this terrific quarterback out of St. Thomas Aquinas. I would think that would help land some guys.
It should. And you know what? Off of one performance, you don't want to get carried away, but if he's grounded enough and he can build on this, and because it's going to be tougher. There's going to be those games where guys aren't going to get open, and you're going to have a read that doesn't go your way or a tip pass that doesn't go your way. You're going to have to face some adversity. So I think this was a great start for Jake Allen, and you're right. If he keeps this up, this really broadens the profile of the Gators. And we noticed before the game, he's the only quarterback over the next couple of years that are, that the Gators have committed right now. So it's a good situation for Allen.
And Jim McElwain does not have a quarterback in his 2016 class as of yet. Running inside the 20-yard line, St. Thomas Aquinas. Samuel Llewellyn getting the carry. And some of the reserves are getting playing time here for Ryan Schneider, the offensive coordinator, who calls all the plays for the Raiders, and he's done a terrific job here tonight.
He was an excellent quarterback down the road at Plantation High School. Took his skills to UCF, and now he's been coaching in Broward County and at St. Thomas for his first year, doing an excellent job of running the offense, directing the offense from the sidelines.
Jonathan Moore with a touch for the Raiders. No gain on that one. So a 41-game winning streak is going to conclude here tonight. Booker T. Washington can regroup and get ready for its next game at Monsignor Pace next Friday night. So another road game for Earl Tillman and company. Meanwhile, Aquinas will be home next Friday night against Miramar.
That's been a team that they've struggled with in the past.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough task. And they also have a first-year head coach, former Booker T. Washington assistant Pierre Senatus. That's a loss of 2. So it's going to be 3rd down and 12 here. That clock running. Just over 3 minutes to go here in Fort Lauderdale. Bo Felicio, the sophomore quarterback, getting some valuable reps. As a former quarterback, I can assume you know how valuable this time is for Felicio.
I remember coming in as a junior on varsity and backing up Mike Stanley, who had a wonderful career as a Major League Baseball player, playing for the Yankees and the Rangers and the Red Sox. And, it was my time to get experience. It was my time to grow as a quarterback, and it was beneficial when I was a senior. I was able to come in, and there was nothing that I hadn't seen as the backup. So as Bo goes out there and plays and gets these reps, it's too bad that the score is where it is, where you can't get some throwing reps in, because I'm sure that you want to run the clock down. But even these snaps are valuable for him, and you never know. 4th in a country mile, you may want to throw one up here.
Rashad Wildgoose, that sack of Felicio, now 4th and 22. Drops back, pressure off the edge. He'll dump it off short. Gets it to a running back, and another penalty flag as Llewellyn is wrapped up. We've seen a lot of flags here, especially since halftime.
It seems like when the cramps started to appear, we had more flags. It means guys were tired, a little bit more grabbing going on, a lot more holding calls.
Walking back on the offense. Penalties decline.
How their defense responds, and if Joey Boza can be that dominant player.
He won't play in the first game against Virginia Tech. He's suspended with some other players for the Buckeyes. Urban Meyer sending a message. So Nick's brother won't play in that game, but it's going to be another good year for Ohio State. How good? We'll find out. There's another flag. Along the sideline, a late hit against St. Thomas Aquinas. And when you're leading 35-3 with under 2 minutes to go, there's never any reason for that, but certainly at this point.
No, you never want to put yourself in a position to
dead ball, personal foul.
To get a personal
Defense,
foul
15-yard penalty
with minute 45 left to go in the game.
Darrell Shelton with that late hit right in front of his own bench.
Clearly out of bounds, and there comes the two-hand shiver to the shoulder pads.
Boy, George Smith spoke highly of Roger Harriet, the youngest of 5 kids, now has 5 kids of his own, and when he's not at home, he's got 100 kids on the St. Thomas Aquinas roster.
That is for sure.
There's a sack, another sack for this defense, a loss of 1 on that play. And it was Joshua Paul, nose tackle, making that stop. He was fun to talk to. He is very excited about this opportunity.
Yeah, well, you could see the smile on his face coming back to where he played high school football and having just a sense of calm, a sense of peace to come back and feel comfortable how he coaches this program and how he runs this program.
His oldest girl is headed to Kentucky on a soccer scholarship. He almost spent more time talking to us about that than he did his football team.
We knew more about her than we did Nick Bosa.
I think that was a Udonis Haslem sighting. The Miami Heat star, his son Kedonis Haslem is a player on this St. Thomas Aquinas team. And he's in the football game right now. It's dumped off short here, caught at midfield. There's Shaquan Brownlee. And yet another penalty flag as we come up on 30 seconds to go in this football game.
Yeah, it looked like another personal foul.
Roughing the passer. Defense. 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
There's a lot of coaching points, Clay, in this game that I'm sure Roger Harriet is going to address with his football team, because as this team grows and as the games go on, there's going to be opponents that are going to give you a little bit of a struggle, and you may not have your game that night that you had tonight.
And penalties could be the difference.
Penalties could be the difference. We saw turnovers and penalties really be the difference, and drop passes earlier in this game that really turned the game towards Aquinas.
16 penalties, 150 yards against St. Thomas Aquinas tonight. On that draw, I don't know whether it was designed that way, but it's Eric Walker up the middle and gets down to the 11-yard line. Preston Liger, the safety, makes the stop. 17 seconds to go. Booker T. Washington looking for a morale boost here late. And a timeout called as Harriet wants to get the right personnel on the field.
Walker will try his luck in the end zone. And another interception. It's been that kind of night for the quarterbacks of the Tornadoes. It's Asante Samuel Jr. with his second interception. Boy, he looks like a Pro Bowler himself here tonight.
His dad wasn't bad. You know, 2 Super Bowl championships, 4 Pro Bowls, and he led the NFL in interceptions twice in his career in 06 and 09, and his son Asante gets 2 tonight. Just a great job of going up and getting the football. Just a young player, only a sophomore. He's only going to get more experience and get a better feel, but he was in the right place at the right times, and he fights for the football in the back of the end zone. And a lot of happy coaches. Defensive coordinator Matt Helmer doing a great job today, holding Booker T. Washington to only 3 points.
Roger Harriet is going to get his first win as head coach at his alma mater. Great defensive night for St. Thomas Aquinas. 5 total interceptions, 28 points off those turnovers. Victory formation here for the Raiders. So George Smith had hundreds of victories during his career as coach. Roger Harriet now has 1, and the 41-game winning streak comes to an end for Booker T. Washington. 35-3 the final. Coming up next, Sports Center. So long for Fort Lauderdale. We now send you to the studio.